Hey guys, Tom from Metalloud, and it's time to review the album from My Ticket Home called Strangers Only. So I've heard My Ticket Home before. I encountered one of their music videos on YouTube for one of their songs, and I actually really enjoyed it. While it was metalcore, it kind of had a nice flair to it, nice style that they had going on. It didn't sound like every other band out there. It sounded like they had a lot of talent and a lot of style. So I was eagerly anticipating Strangers Only as an album. From what I had heard from them before, what I kind of expected was just a pretty straightforward metalcore album. What we got instead is something completely unique and yet familiar all at the same time. Now, this album can best be described as new metalcore. They've almost invented a new genre, taking from the old and the current. Now, if you're like me, you kind of grew up in the late 90s, well, I grew up in the 90s in general, and early 2000s listening to the whole new metal scene with bands like Linkin Park and Korn and Static X and things like that, and it's kind of something you probably latched onto. Now, from new metal, the easiest jumping off point when you kind of discover that radio music isn't the only music out there is to get into kind of the metalcore scene. It's still got a lot of that catchiness that new metal had. It's got those kind of angsty lyrics, things like that, but it's incorporated more traditional metal elements into the music. Strangers Only brings it kind of full circle and brings back a lot of those elements that new metal had, those kind of funky grooves, the melodic parts, the kind of manipulation that they had going on. Oftentimes on this album you find sounds that they create using their guitars that sound like those old disc scratches that new metal kind of used a lot, like Slipknot and Linkin Park did it. And here it's done not through that, but with actual guitar work. You've still got a ton of those angsty lyrics, especially about being a teenager and not knowing what's going on and just feeling oppressed by, adults knowing what's better for you. And while this is a kind of a style that a lot of bands may try and probably would fail miserably at, My Ticket Home really pulls it off here, and this album is catchy as hell. It's definitely a very unique album. This isn't something that like any other band is putting out there today, and they really should be commended for this. Now, this album at this point is 2 years old. It came out in 2013, and I did a review of it, a written review of it on the site, and I still have the same things to say about this. This is still a fantastic album. There's some songs on there that I don't really kind of like so much. They're not bad songs, just nothing that really appeals to me. But then there's some fantastic songs, like the opening track, Spit Not Chewed, which is just perfect. It really is an amalgamation of everything that you thought of with the new metal in the late 90s and early 2000s, and everything that popular metalcore is today, and yet it's done with such finesse that the track itself is just almost perfect in a sense. Again, My Ticket Home really should be commended what they've managed to pull off with this album. It's really something that could have been done poorly, could have come off as cheesy, could have come off as Limp Bizkit, and they really did a good job with it, and this album is just absolutely fantastic, and I really hope they do kind of continue this style over. I'm sure there's a lot of people, like I said, like me, who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s with music, with the new metal, who kind of now are into the metalcore scene and would love to hear more of this.